this is investment migration. So this is another space that is more or less the Wild West. It is completely unregulated, aside from some jurisdictions, notably, I think Australia and Canada. For the most part, investment migration, anyone can just get a flashy website or get a great YouTube channel going, and they can sell the hell out of it. And you've heard no end of horror stories. That's on the selling side. And on the actual product side, some major jurisdictions don't like it. I mean, the North Americans don't like it too much. The Europeans clearly do not like it. And we've seen that in the last few years, we've seen the Cyprus program being shut down, at least the citizenship part. You can still get a visa, but citizenship no longer. And we've seen Malta being taken to European court, over their citizenship program. So within that context, how does Austria fit in? Is it different, and how?
So maybe to sort of let's take a step back and see what is happening in Malta, because it's like really interesting to understand and to then contrast that to the Austrian program, to the program in my country. So basically, how Europe works, and Europe is like really very complicated, or the EU is sometimes very complicated to understand. And of course, you know that the EU is not the same as Europe. So there are some countries like the UK or Switzerland that do not even belong to the EU. But basically, in the EU, you have the member states. There are 27 member states, and they have rules on citizenship. So, for example, if you're born with parents from that country, parents from that country will get a passport. There are rules in some countries that you can get citizenship based on merit. For example, if you join the Foreign Legion in France, I understand, then you can get citizenship. Or if you do something spectacular in some other country, then that country might grant you citizenship as a gesture of appreciation for what you have done for this country. But at the same time, there's also EU citizenship. So having a passport of an EU member state actually also means having an EU passport, and it gives you several rights that come from the EU treaties. So, for example, you can then go to any other member state and live there under certain prerequisites are fulfilled. You can buy real estate, you can open up a business, you can buy a business, open a bank account, and so on. So life gets a lot easier having an EU passport. And now the thing is that the European Commission, they have a bit of a centralizing tendency, and I think all of this is, you would call it a power grab. So what they are saying since many years is that programs through which member states hand out passports to applicants under so-called citizenship-by-investment programs, that they fundamentally violate EU law. And the citizenship-by-investment program is basically a program where somebody, an investor, you can call him, buys real estate in a country, makes a contribution to the government, and under a special program, these two steps enable him then, after going through a very extensive due diligence process, enable him to become a citizen of that country, and as a consequence, a citizen of the EU, an EU citizen. So the European Commission really has targeted these citizenship-by-investment programs, and has been saying that while they acknowledge the right of member states to grant citizenship, they do not acknowledge the right of member states to grant citizenship under citizenship-by-investment programs, because the fear is that thousands, tens of thousands of money launderers will basically use this route to park their illegal proceeds in Europe to enter our territories. This is a totally overblown fear. On the one hand, the numbers that we're speaking of, this is a mere 100 in all of the countries concerned. On the other hand, as you know, we have the Mediterranean, which is an open border, and you have the Ukraine, which is also an open border, and the vast amount of people coming through these borders on an undocumented basis is just incredible. And the citizenship-by-investment program numbers, they really pale in comparison. So the fear of the European Commission is totally overblown, and there are also no legal arguments. Nevertheless, the European Commission has pressured member states. So Bulgaria had a program, and this program was halted. Cyprus had a program. Cyprus was a lot more well-known than Bulgaria. The Cyprus program was halted, and now the European Commission is taking Malta to the ECJ. So a case has been filed, Our firm is probably going to also make a submission to the court, a brief explaining why we feel that this is that if the court would follow the European Commission side, why this would be totally in violation of the EC treaty, of the competency of member states. It is a question of what is a central competency and what is a competency of the member states. So the Maltese program is a citizenship-by-investment program, and in Austria, and this is like a really long answer for a short question. In Austria, we have a provision in the Citizenship Act which says that if a foreigner, if an alien, does something which is in the interest of the Republic of Austria, if he has done something, and if there's also the expectation that he will be doing something in the interest of Austria, then the government, the federal government, may pass a decision. It's totally discretionary. May pass a decision and may waive the application of all the normal requirements that typically apply if you want to get citizenship. So you don't have to have lived here. You don't have to have a knowledge of the German language, which is not that easy for non-German speakers. You don't have to do a culture and history test. You don't have to give up other passports and so on. So we are currently, as a firm, doing a few, not many, but this is a very special program. We're doing a few of these, we have a few of these clients. They are all very special. They all do very sort of customized things. I cannot mention what these projects are, but basically the idea is something that sort of really contributes to Austria. It can be in the area of business, so you might set up a business, you might sort of expand your existing operations to Austria, create jobs. It might be just a simple donation to one of Vienna's fantastic museums. It might be that you, I don't know, that you bring to the table, I don't know, maybe you're a scientist and you have a whole laboratory which you uproot from one country and basically set up roots in Austria. Bring all these people, all the know-how, all the research capability to Austria. So it's an interesting program. It is very expensive, so it's not like some programs. I don't know. You probably heard of Montenegro. It's basically 450K. So it's 200K for the donation and 250K in the cheapest case for the real estate. So basically it's 450 outlay and that's it. And I mean, you have the real estate, you can even sell that hopefully in a few years' time. So it's cheap. Whereas the Austrian program is like discretionary. It is sort of very tailor-made for the client. It really has to fit to his story, and it takes a long time, but it is an Austrian passport, and an Austrian passport is, I think, number 7 or something on this well-known Henley list of passports. Right. So it's really a strong passport. It's a passport which allows you lots of things. Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. So it is definitely unique, and it is not the typical investment migration package product, right? Okay, yeah. I got that.
So if you're a 6, 7, or 8-figure investor, entrepreneur, or business owner who needs a tailor-made solution from a qualified team of professionals, we can help you achieve the international lifestyle, the freedom, and even the tax savings you're looking for. Visit us at htj.tax and live that international life.